Hey everyone, welcome back. Tennocon has come and went, and it was honestly an amazing experience to attend. To those that I met, thank you. It was really cool seeing you there. There have been insane announcements revealed. Ari about Void shenanigans via Wally, giving us this Whispers in the Wall update later this year, probably Christmas, and eventually Warframe 1999 in 2024. We also have the Daggeth update dropping as a new frame in October alongside our typical Halloween stuff, but in meantime, we'll be looking at some more media content today. I'm pooped and spent yesterday resting up and enjoying some more grass. Now it's back to the grind. We're going to be looking at Gotva Prime today, the new old assault rifle given from Tennocon as Twitch drops, as well as the code REDEEM if you attended in person. Gotva Prime has a single gimmick. It has a roughly 5% flat rate of scoring red crits on a typical build. It does not add 300% flat crit chance, it sets your crit chance at 300%. This value is affected by status chance on the weapon, but does not appear to have full scaling. Modding plus 300% status chance, so you have 4 times scaling, does not lead to 4 times more red crits. It seems to only have half scaling or something, so this gimmick is not really worth building around. It's just something to keep in mind as a bonus here and there. There are not that many ways to get status chance in the game, and you may be considering Citrine's third ability, Prismatic Gem. Also important, when you're dealing with crit testing, always use legacy damage numbers for figuring out how strong a weapon is. Enhance gives you a false image of how many crits you land, since only 30 numbers can be on the HUD at once. Legacy always wipes oldest numbers first early, whereas Enhance prioritizes removing lower crit tiers, meaning it gives you a false image of landing more crits in higher crit tiers than you actually are doing. Gotva Prime was teased over 4 years ago and is shown in the Awakening trailer wielded by Grineer. This is the pre-Void Touched Aeolak, the original standard issue infantry weapon. There really isn't too much to say about this rifle, so I'll go over the important info and comparisons. This would have been a good weapon if it released 4 years ago. It is not a bad weapon, but nor is it a good weapon. It has generic stats and works. That's it. It literally works for Steel Path, but sometimes that's exactly what you want or what you want to feel. It also lives up to its reputation this way as a standard issue rifle for Grineer. Solid crit stats, solid status. This is the weapon you use because you want a standard bullet hose, no funny business, or because you like the weapon. This is not the weapon you pick if you want something strong, or different, or fun for Steel Path, but most importantly, this is a Twitch drop or attending event code drop. This means those that are brand new to the game can receive this to start their journey. For a new Tenno, this is an amazing weapon. Yes, it's not like the literal best in class for its archetype, like Argo and Vel for swords and shields, Eden for polearms, etc., but it doesn't need to be. If you compare this to the Bratton, or even the Soma Prime pre-Incarnon era, this is so much stronger. In other words, this is a Soma Prime with proper status chance and better damage. Serviceable to those that just want a usable rifle, a free weapon slot to those that want something stronger or fun, and a huge upgrade for newer players. But where exactly does it sit in the meta compared to the rest of the assault rifles specifically? This is the section where I compare it to similar other notable rifles, ignoring the obvious AoE alt-fire modes some have. But if you just want builds, you can skip to that timestamp in the description or pinned comment. The most obvious comparison is Aeolak, because Gotva is canonically the same weapon. Aeolak is just the void-touched version from the Zeraman post-jump wielded by Thrax. Aeolak is not even a meta weapon overall, but is quite up there for an assault rifle. If you want a full breakdown, I covered the Aeolak and its surprising strengths previously last year. You can check out that video at the top right. On paper, these weapons seem roughly comparable, with Aeolak just being more status weighted. The biggest difference would be the half fire rate on Aeolak, but roughly double base damage, but there are other things that are not as obvious. Gotva Prime is pure puncture, meaning it cannot slash without hunter munitions at all, has no unusual elemental opportunities due to lacking innates, and also lacks elements for galvanized aptitude scaling. Aeolak is the opposite, not only having a full roster of IPS but also innate radiation on its shots. A standard Gotva build will have 3 elements at most, whereas Aeolak comfortably reaches 5. Then there's the sticking point. Aeolak has Multiplicative GunCO. This means that Galvanized Aptitude works like Eclipse on Aeolak, multiplying the final damage of every bullet you shoot by the amount of unique status procs inflicted. This is what made Aeolak a good rifle option in the meta. There are very few bullet hose weapons with Multiplicative GunCO, but on Gotva, it's additive like normal. This means it works like Serration and is thus diluted by Serration and or weapon arcanes that grant base damage like Merciless, Deadhead, Dexterity, etc., and is further compounded by the fact that it only has Puncture at base. Aeolak is also more ammo efficient than Gotva, with half the pickup but less than half the fire rate, but due to GunCO, also massively stronger damage per shot comparison even by DPS. It also has 1 meter punch through, which is enough to at least punch through one body by default, which requires 0.6 meters on a humanoid and 1 meter on a quadruped, whereas Gotva's an 8.5 meter punch through, though actually isn't enough to hit through even one body consistently, and is only good for shooting through thin doors or super thin objects. So if you want the Gotva but better, I would honestly recommend the Aeolak if you have access to it. Aeolak has some actual kicks to its shots, but I find it's better to shoot as well, and a simple minus recoil Excellus or Deadhead arcane can fix that. Also, the most important part, you hate Banes, right? I'm sure most of you do. Galvanized Aptitude is stronger than Banes on Aeolak, and Aeolak actually doesn't have enough slots for an optimal build. Nourish or Rivens are required since it's a slot-starved weapon, so it can use GunCO instead of Banes, and it will work against every single faction. But on Gotva, Banes are stronger than Galvanized Aptitude on it instead, and Gotva has the same slot-starved problems as Aeolak. So let's take a look at those builds now, shall we? This is your stock Viral Hunter Munitions Gotva Prime build. You might notice a mod missing from this build, Galvanized Aptitude. Why? Gotva on this build only inflicts 3 status effects, Puncture, Viral, and Slash. That's 240% base damage from GunCO, which is significantly weaker than Merciless, granting 360%. Also, the slash procs are sourced from Hunter Munitions rather than status chance, making status not that useful for DPS scaling outside of its Gimmick, which I'm already saying is not worth building entirely around, since this is already a high fire rate bullet hose. If you do not want to run primed Banes, which multiply your slash procs by a final 2.4 times multiplier, then you can run Galvanized Aptitude here, which is a 1.52 times total damage increase on this particular build. Just be aware this is a big damage loss, due to lack of unique status effects on Gotva and GunCO being additive on this weapon. Prime Shred is extremely important if you intend to use Gotva to kill hordes, because guns do not lose damage on punch through hits, unlike melee follow through, and as I said, the base 0.5 meters punch through is almost useless. It both improves KPM, DPS, and also ammo efficiency. Crits are standard and critical delay gets us up to 69%. Nice. Prime Shred counters the fire rate penalty while not causing over-the-top ammo wastage. Prime Cryo is used instead of Rhyme rounds because it allows you to kill trash fodder units without relying on slash procs while still boosting viral procs by viral weight instead of status chance. More importantly, Puncture procs, which this weapon has way too many of, adds flat 5% crit chance per proc cap to 5 stacks. Realistically, this means the weapon will go up to 94% crit chance after about half a second on an enemy by shooting, letting us get almost full scaling of Hunter Munitions proc chance. This also holds true for Aeolak. Don't think just because it has low puncture weight it can't max out 5 stacks quickly. Bullet Hose and high status do a lot more than you'd expect. If you bring Nourish, this opens up options quite a bit, and you can replace Prime Cryo rounds of Malignant Force with Galvanized Aptitude, and Bladed rounds if you're fine with the ADS. Otherwise, Hammer Shot, because it also helps the Gimmick as well as even more consistent procs but not requiring ADS. Remember, as I said, the Gimmick is not worth building around specifically. If you can benefit from it as a bonus, such as Hammer Shot when you have free slots, then sure, but otherwise, Bladed rounds is still better. Use Merciless for stack reliability since you're not going to get that many headshot kills due to slash procs killing on a bullet hose. The alternative build is raw damage Corrosive setup. Since you don't have to run Hunter Munitions anymore, this opens up a slot for Galvanized Aptitude scaling. It's only 160% base damage compared to Serration's 165, but it also adds 80% status chance for slightly faster Corrosive Armor Shred and Puncture procs, as well as slightly more red crits from the passive. To me, that is more valuable than plus 5% base damage when the weapon already has 100% scaling. We get 360% from our weapon arcane too. With GunCO giving 160%, you're comparing literally 620 to 625% scaling base damage, or less than a 1% relative difference. Also, GunCO allows you to gain even more scaling if you use Nourish, since you now have a third element for an extra plus 80% more base damage. Primed Banes only dip once on a raw Corrosive build for a 1.55 times damage instead of slash double dipping for 2.4, so if you do not want to run a Primed Bane here, then I would recommend trying Galvanized Scope. Assuming 5 Puncture procs present, a max Galvanized Scope is a 1.63 times total damage increase and actually stronger than a Bane, as long as you upkeep max stacks. If aiming at heads constantly is annoying, then Bladed Rounds is the next best choice at a 1.55 times total damage increase, matching a Primed Bane, but again requires you to ADS. Though it does not have a multi-stack mechanic requiring kills like Galvanized Scope, needing 5 kills to upkeep to grant full scaling, so Bladed Rounds might even be the most comfortable choice here. If you're willing to aim at the head occasionally, then you can use Deadhead with this too and upkeep the 24 seconds timer per stack quite comfortably, and in my eyes probably the best choice. The Corrosive build can actually kill Acolytes off okay, albeit not impressive, whereas the Viral Hunt to Munitions build sucks against them, because not only are Acolytes capped to 4 slash procs, but this bullet hose does not have impressive raw damage, unlike Aeolak's Multiplicative GunCO. Anyways, that's my verdict on Gotva, a lore accurate standard issue. Not impressive as a weapon, but it doesn't have to be. It gets the job done. A not that useful gimmick that's just nice there to have. Amazing for newer players, and serviceable for mid-game players. Fodder for veterans, but hey, it came with a free weapon slot, right? Free is free. You can't complain. We know this is a very old weapon development-wise, and it did not detract from time spent on future weapons and projects. If you just want a bullet hose, this can be fun to fiddle around with, but for more power, I would definitely, seriously recommend trying out the Aeolak. Cheers! If this is your first time watching, feel free to leave a like or better yet, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. 79.5% of you are not subscribed. I'm trying my best to get you new information out always as soon as possible, like I've done with the Duviri update. Stick around if you want to see interesting memes and builds on a nearly daily basis. You don't want to miss out on any of that, do you? That'll be it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and see you all next time.